we're going to talk a little bit about the debt dilemma the dentists face. And here's what the dilemma is primarily, right? You're already going to dental school. And if you're like most dental students, you're paying for it with debt, which means you're coming out with something on average around $300,000. That means lots of you have more than $300,000. $400,000 or $500,000 is not unusual at all. And if you go do a residency of some kind, like many dentists do, a lot of those residencies don't pay you. It's very different from medical residencies. In fact, sometimes you have to pay tuition still while you're in residency. And so not only are you not making payments on your debt, but it's continuing to grow, not only from the interest on the money you borrowed in dental school, but from money you're still borrowing to get through residency. And so the highest dental or the highest student loan burdens we ever see are usually from dental subspecialists. It's orthodontists and they owe $1.1 million or $800,000 or something like that. If you pay for your undergraduate and maybe some sort of post-grad degree, a gap year or something in dental school and your ortho residency, and you pay for it all with debt, it's not unusual to be in the high six figures or even seven figures just with your student loans. But I don't think that's necessarily typical for most dentists. I think most dentists are coming out with $300,000 or $400,000 or $500,000. But that gives them a dilemma, right? Because they come out of school or they come out of a 1-year, residency of some kind, and then they want to practice dentistry. And they have a couple of choices. One is to go work as an employee in somebody else's practice. And maybe that practice is owned by, another dentist. Maybe it's owned by private equity. Maybe it's owned by somebody else, but you're an associate. And you're probably not getting paid all that well. It's not that unusual even to be paid in the low six figures, less than $200,000 as an associate. And that doesn't work very well when you owe $400,000 or $500,000 in student loans, especially if you're ready to go buy a house. And with the housing crisis today, in a lot of areas of this country, it's hard to get anything decent for less than $400,000 or $500,000 or $600,000, it seems like. So you've got that debt also potentially being added on to your student loans. But there's another dilemma, right? Because many dentists, if they run a successful practice, make more, dramatically more, if they own the practice. And so one of the best ways to actually boost your income is to buy a practice. But that means either starting it yourself, which can be challenging, or buying it from a retiring dentist. And you're probably going to need a practice loan to do that. Maybe it's another $500,000 or even $1 million. So the big question a lot of dentists have is, should I keep working as an associate, or should I take on even more debt than my student loans and my mortgage? And the answer, I think, if you're really willing to get after it, and this practice really makes sense to buy, you've really done your due diligence on it, and it's going to help you significantly boost your income, is probably to take out that debt. But you've got to live pretty darn frugally for a number of years to manage this triple onslaught of debts between your mortgage and the student loans and the practice loan. And so not only do you have to make that practice just as efficient as you can and work your butt off and maybe even hire some associates to work there for you to help boost the profitability as well, but you've got to live very frugally as well. Certainly long enough to get rid of those student loans, but also probably to pay off most of that practice loan, at least to a place where it's very comfortable for the practice to carry that. And then, of course, nobody wants to be in mortgage debt for 30 or 40 years. So you probably want to pay that off in some sort of shorter than 30-year period as well. That's going to take some careful financial planning and budgeting. But don't worry, you're going to get there eventually. You're going to be able to live on that nice doctor salary eventually. But this does mean that you've got, the equivalent of a live like a resident period that's going to last for something, close to 5 years, if not maybe even a little bit more, and then grow into that income as slowly as you can. I just don't see any other way around it, right? You're not going to pay that $600,000 mortgage and those $500,000 in student loans, making $140,000 as an associate. You've got to figure out a way to get your income up. You've got the education. You probably need to take on some business risk, and yes, probably carry a little bit more debt to get there. Hope that's helpful to you.
The hosts of The White Coat Investor are not licensed accountants, attorneys, or financial advisors. This podcast is for your entertainment and information only. It should not be considered professional or personalized financial advice. you should consult the appropriate professional for specific advice relating to your situation.